In our very first story, the bodies of a husband and wife, both military officers, are among 7 retrieved from flood waters by the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, after heavy rains on Sunday. Staff Sergeant Arthur Jabez, 45, and his wife, the warrant officer Sarah Kouaji, 40, were traveling in a military pickup from a funeral in Tema when their vehicle got caught in the flood waters at a suburb along the motorway known as JoyNews. The National Disaster Management Organization says a baby who was also on board the vehicle has still not been found. As many as 7 lives rather, are believed to have been lost in Sunday's downpour, with over 50,000 or close to 50,000 said to have been displaced. Let's listen to the NADMO Director of Operations giving the breakdown.
So far, the assessments we've put together shows that we have over 30,000 people who are displaced, and we're still counting.
30,000 people are displaced?
Yes.
In Accra alone?
In Accra alone. Okay. We're still counting because it cuts across from Ashaman, Tema, all the way to Dansoma, Glefe, I hear Taifa Domikwa Abenya, they call the place Obo something area. In fact, a household of about 150 people. That should tell you just that small catchment place. So the numbers are still trooping, and we are yet collecting. We're still collecting data from other regions that were equally affected. But as we speak, I could see that you've scaled everything to Accra, which is a major problem. And we're still counting. Our men are still out there. Our rescue team are still out there. In fact, yesterday, we know when the rains came, we lost some lives. Some are still missing. 2 persons are missing. One around the Odona, and then the Tema Motorway underground one. So we're still working on it.
And when you say 30,000, is it just due to the rains of last night? The 3-hour rains of last night?
Of course, we had rains the previous week, exactly a week. Okay. Yesterday we had some rains, and we're still counting.
Okay. So the 30,000 that you have at the moment, where does it cover? How long does it cover? The whole week, last week, or just last night?
In fact, putting together just yesterday, that's why I say we have about 30,000.
Just yesterday?
Yes.
Now, 4 bodies have been retrieved from the drain at the JoyNews following the Sunday evening downpour. The 4 were among the number of people in a pickup trying to cross the tunnel at the JoyNews. My colleague Kojo Yangsing was on ground and filed the following report.
This narrative is becoming increasingly familiar to Ghanaians, especially those in the Greater Accra region. NADMO reports that 5 more Ghanaians lost their lives in Sunday night's downpour. There are 4 more, including a baby and a 6-year-old, who fell into the floodwaters and have since not been found. 4 of those 5 died in one incident when the military truck in which they were traveling plunged into a hole in the middle of the motorway and disappeared under the fast-flowing floodwaters.
This is the side of the motorway where traffic moves from Tema to Accra. On a morning like this, it's extremely busy, as you can see. But last night, on this same road, because of the heavy rains, there was water everywhere. Now, if you all over here, there was water very high up, welling out of a water body, a little stream that runs under the motorway just at this spot. Now, normally, when you drive along this motorway, you can see the guardrails, which will tell you that there is something on either side. But last night, because of the heavy rain, this whole place was covered with water, and the drivers could not see the edges of the motorway. So a military pickup carrying 4 adults and a baby in the cabin and a number of passengers in the bucket was driving along, reportedly coming from a funeral right here on this motorway. When they got to this spot, because this was all covered with water, they couldn't see the edges of the motorway, and the driver found himself veering off the motorway. You can see the tire treads here. When he got here, he tried to brake, but it was too late. Within 1 meter, the pickup was in the water.
The people of the neighboring community of Ajekujo say it is not the first time this has happened.
This road is very dangerous. Anytime the rain falls, you see this bridge lights, you always fill up. And the road will fill. So you will not know your left and right. And the road itself is drawing. And anybody that is coming from this outside country, other Nigeria or anywhere, you see that always here they follow to the Accra. They should please do the road. The government itself is passing here. And you see what is happening, you see what is here. It's not right.
Yesterday, I and my brother, we are from work, going back to the home. So when passing on the motorway, we parked, the rain was falling. So this place was full up, so we have to park. We parked the car, and we are seeing people falling into the gutter. And I tell my brother, you have to...
Which gutter?
This gutter, these ones.
The mayor of Tema was up all night helping the rescue effort, but he blames the rain for the tragedy, not the unprotected culvert.
But if you look at the nature of the motorway, if this place has not been blocked, it is not an issue at all. This is an accident, and it has happened because the driver cannot see his way clear. So let's accept it like that. We shouldn't apportion blames as to who is supposed to do what. And if not because of the rain, there is no way any driver will veer off the road and enter this road.
NADMO, however, holds a different view. They think mounting a temporary cordon around the potential death trap could save lives.
In time, something has to be done. We want this place to be cordoned off, at least to tell people that it's a death trap, so you shouldn't go beyond it. That is where we are coming from, in the interim.
As the nation experiences the tragic but avoidable loss of life due to an occurrence as natural as rainfall, this 30-year-long cycle of grief...
It's a very painful thing. I can't describe it. It hurts. It's really hurting. I have to be strong for my son just to keep him going. But it's a feeling that I can't describe.
Outrage.
They should please do something about this road. The road, this is where they normally pass to Accra anywhere, any outside country, Nigeria, anywhere. This is the road for Accra. They should do it. Government itself is passing. It should please do the road so the people will stop dying.
And remorse.
This morning I got information that on the motorway there was a flooding aspect that claimed 4 lives, and we've heard other lives have also been claimed, and the honorable member for Kumbungu has also alluded to the situation in his constituency. Let me say that we want to express our condolences to the bereaved families and to assure that we will do whatever we can to assess the situation.
On behalf of the people of Ghana, I convey my sincerest sympathies to the families and relations of the persons affected by the fire disaster. Obviously, the casualties from the fire disaster increased because of the heavy rains and resultant flooding of many areas, including the immediate vicinity of the Goil service station.
Is all starting to sound a little bit too familiar. It rained, so people died. And Ghana remains doomed to the deja vu of death by downpour.
Indeed, it's all beginning to sound very familiar, because flooding or killing residents of Accra is very predictable and perennial. The flood script remains the same. Listen, watch this one.
To today's big story. Now, many parts of the national capital today have been inundated as choke drains have made it difficult for rainwater to freely flow. This is not the first time Accra has been hit by floods, and almost every year the story or the reasons being given for the floods are the same.
The cycle of flood is here again, and year by year major cities in the country get flooded. The reasons, as always, are the same: lack of planning, pouring of waste into drains, and a host of other human activities. When will it ever stop?
It was the darkest and longest night ever in Ghana's history, a very tragic one indeed. June 3, 2015 will forever be imprinted in the memory of residents.
Hydrological engineer at the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Wise Ametefe, has blamed yesterday's flooding on blockages in channels leading to the Odor drain.
The government will, in the coming days, announce a comprehensive plan to deal permanently with the perennial flooding in the capital, Accra. The city's mayor, Mohamed Ni Ejeisoa, says the new comprehensive plan will focus on redesigning the drainage system. He made this known after touring some communities affected by the Friday morning downpour.
The 18th June evening flood has killed 10 persons. According to NADMO, 6 died in Accra, 1 in the central region and 3 from the Volta region.
Now, parts of the country were flooded Sunday evening, leaving properties destroyed and many people displaced. The floods have largely been attributed to choked drains.
All right, so the deaths recorded on Sunday adds to 5 other deaths recorded the previous week during another downpour. The National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, meanwhile, says it does not have resources for disaster relief as the annual flooding season begins. National Coordinator Eric Nanajiman Prempe told the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament this is because they are saddled with a 34 million cedi debt and 28 court suits over debt incurred before 2017. He says money released to them from the Finance Ministry this year is being spent on debt payment, leaving them with no resources to deal with disasters.
84 million, which as I sit here right now, I have about 28 court cases. So we've been paying the debt. Because of that, we do not get much money to buy relief items currently. As we sit here this year, we've not been able to buy anything, but we still own 2016 and even the little we were able to do in 2017. So these are some of the problems. But I would say we don't have enough resources.
Go and ask suppliers, and that will lead you to the issue about procurement.
Yes, yes.
Procurement problems.
Exactly so.
So the committee should recommend that we provide more resources for the agency, the NADMO.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
I think I wanted to come on the same issues, just to remind you, like my chairman said, that the rains have already started. And I wanted to know if you are adequately stocked for emergencies that are going to come. They are inevitable. We are seeing them. Are you adequately stocked now, or still going to be firefighting?
Yeah, Honorable Chair, we don't have enough. We don't have enough. Any arrangement or any push by the committee to press for more resources to support NADMO will be welcome.
I'm sure the Finance Minister has heard us, so don't worry.
But Chairman of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, James Avagin, says NADMO should have enough resources to deal with flooding challenges.
It's not only NADMO that left debts. And it's
in this case, we're categorical that these debts were accrued before 2017.
Of course, yes. There were debts with all other institutions before 2017. But there was debt with the government in totality before 2017. And the debt will continue to be there. So you cannot blame anybody. You understand? That not only NADMO is paying for previous debts, other institutions are paying for previous debts. Because debts are something that will continue to accrue. I think that is some of the mistakes that you, the journalists, are making. They made their point that when a time there's a release to them, portion of that must be used to pay current debts. And how much is the debt that they claim that have been accrued? 38 or 34? You have to look at the issues clearly before you come to a conclusion. The point that they are making is that they need more resources, okay, to be able to prepare for disasters. And as we said, the rainy season is just setting in. We know there are people who have already lost their lives. So people can be prepared for rain. People cannot dump refuse in the rain channels. That can prevent some flooding in a certain way. But when it's beyond certain things, they can't do anything about it. We don't hope that what happened in Malawi, Mozambique.
Now, Minister for Interior Ambrose Dere is assuring, despite the financial challenges, adequate measures are being put in place to avoid more flooding and its associated debts. He expressed regret for the debts.
The solution is going to be multifaceted. There are many aspects of the flooding. One is the technical engineering part, which will be dealt with by Works and Housing. Then for NADMO, we are dealing with the disaster part of it. Who are being affected? How can we ameliorate the effect of the flood on them? I believe that the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing has been telling the whole country about what efforts they are making. It's a regrettable situation. As for us at NADMO, today I almost didn't come here, but of course I had to come because statutory duty. I heard that a number of lives have been lost. And the first reaction that we should have taken is to go around to see what we can do. But of course we have to come and attend to this. With the Director General, we're going to see what we can do. I'm going to finance to see whether we are well suited to get these things done.
So for any Ghanaian who is worried that we may see more lives being lost even after the 7 that was lost today, they obviously have reason to be worried, don't they? Any assurance from them?
Oh, yes, that's what I'm saying. Is multi-sectoral. For instance, my brother who is at Works and Housing, they have to do something about the areas. Is dredging, whatever. You know, those are things that he has to do. And he's promised he will do that. I believe he will do that. But the education needs to be that when it's raining, we probably should not move if there's no need for us to move. For instance, the 4 people who lost their lives on motorway, I'll be surprised that water will come on the motorway. That's freak. If I'm down low, I don't expect water there. So first we have to say that when there's rain these days, if you can help it, don't move out until the rain has subsided. Because there are things that are going to be flying. They can hit your windscreen and then you can get this surprise water coming across you and causing problems. That is what I'll ask for now.
Now, commuters and motorists who use the Lashibie-Kojo-Ashaman tunnel are appealing for that stretch to be fixed. They say whenever it rains, they spend hours in traffic to cross to either end of the road, adding floodwaters overtake the tunnel, leaving behind tons of mud for them to contend with. The Ashaman Municipal Assembly says it is awaiting approval of some 800,000 cedis by government for engineers to fix the tunnel and the poor road linking it. But the motorists and passengers say they are running out of patience.
I was complaining the other time, comparing East Legon tunnel to this place. I believe the ministers, even the president, they don't regard us. I believe votes comes here more than East Legon. And the poor people, we live here. So we are many more than the East Legon, those places. So they should do it here. Morning like this, you can't. It's very alarming. It's very bad. School children will be on queue for almost about 8 hours before going to school. So please, let them do something about it.
I've been using this road for quite, let's say, more than 10 years, and it wasn't like this before, but recently it has become so bad. When it rains like this, cars hardly pass. Sometimes if I want to come and I charter a taxi, as soon as I just mention under bridge, they wouldn't want to come because of the way the road is very bad. Most of the cars that are small like this, when they pass through, water gets into the engines of them and spoil them, so they hardly come here when you request for them. And even if they will come, the amount they will charge you normally might be ×2 due to the water under the bridge. That's why. So I urge the government to really do something about this place because it's affecting us. Ashama Market is a main market and people do come here to shop every time. Today is market day. I came here. It wanted to rain, but thank God it didn't, or else I wouldn't have made it here today. So I just want the government to do something about this under bridge road. It's a major road. This is the only place that leads to Ashaman, so they should try and do something about it.
So it's not top na semwesi na ejumai na krosu entimi na ejume biom. Ofa monso ana eso ataka mu ayema. Enti se na omoye islegodia no. E ko se penifo no omo sori waka na mo bra no mba yema ye. Ba ya ka nothing. What ma say there? Traffic timichia na fe there ejumai the whole day timi to home because of the over ada bridge ninti. It is mobile ya yasramo all the time. No more ba no more betwa no dia ko.
Ya kwane de emwa ye kura ma eduma ye kura ye hunu so especially nzuo no to a na se kwane sa be park e bi won so be twa U10.
Well, the Shama Municipal Engineer, Daniel Efrifa, said the problem remains unresolved due to financial challenges.
The main problem is that when it rains, you see that all the rain go there to stack. So we want to do a curb and some drain other side so that when it rains, the rain can just get a place to pass, and then the road will be free for commuters to also use.
Engineer, this problem has been here time immemorial. Why is the problem not being fixed?
Well, the problem is not being fixed. You know, this is not the only problem we have in the municipality. We have a lot of issues regarding development. So it's one of the challenges, and I see it to be a financial commitment that we were not having as an assembly. But now that the central government has come in, you know, it's beyond our budget, but now that the central government has come in, we are sure that very soon it will be resolved.
Well, Sanitation Minister Celia Dapa says government has allocated 197 million cedis to be used to deseal choked drains and execute other drainage works to minimize the impact of anticipated flood. Speaking during a briefing session between the Greater Accra Metropolitan Water and Sanitation Project and her ministry, she bemoaned the attitude of Ghanaians towards keeping the city clean and warned authorities will not hesitate in dealing with persons who are caught disposing waste indiscriminately at unauthorized places.
Government of Ghana, I am boldly saying, it's on record, that money as much as 197 million cedis has been allocated, and the contracts have been given out by the Ministry of Works and Housing. They are in charge of flood control. The works section of the ministry means hydrological works and services, and they are up to the task. We just had a meeting last Friday. They are going to add and drill down to desilting of our gutters. So when this is done, or when this is being done, we don't expect anybody, and I mean anybody, to drop anything in our gutters. I think we are all fed up with people pouring their household garbage and rubbish into drains and gutters. If you are caught, jail will be your lot. So people should desist from doing this.
On this part, the project coordinator of the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Water and Sanitation Projects, George Asiedu, stated the silting of 22 major drains in Accra will commence next week.
The two of them. This does not mean that that's the only thing we are working on. The Works and Housing is working on a lot of them, and we are taking up only 22. And so these 22 drains, we are doing the silting and then dredging to open up to improve flow. And once we remove these solid waste that normally obstruct flow, we are hoping that with the onset of the drain, of the rain, flow will be improved, and then flooding will be reduced to the barest minimum.
Okay, so we'll be doing that before May, June?
In fact, we have awarded a contract, and we are hoping that contractors will start dredging from any moment within the next week. So this is for just 1 month. So within the 1 month, by middle of May, this should be done.
Break here on JoyNews. From Basila hiding the bulletin, President Akufo-Addo has been accused of trying to use the new basic school education curriculum to make his family more relevant in Ghana's history.
The assertion is that this is yet another example of a clear attempt by the current president to promote, eulogize, and if you like, immortalize his family and his ancestry to the detriment of the true history of Ghana.
In business, which comes up right after this break, mining communities to see some significant level of development as implementation of Mineral Funds Law begins. We'll hear from the Chamber of Mines about its expectations. And on to some good news now, and enough funds have now come in to cater for the surgery of the infant born with hydrocephalus and spinal bifida at Nadoli in the Upper West region. Stay tuned in, we'll be back in a bit. The Ghana Education Service days ago launched a new basic curriculum as part of ongoing reforms in the sector. According to its Director General, Professor Opoku Amankwa, the Education Ministry is embarking on the reforms, particularly at the pre-tertiary level, to make education more responsive to the human resource and development needs of Ghana. Chairman of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, Professor Kwame Osei-Kwarteng, says the move is intended to introduce personalities in Ghana's history progressively.
We were not writing the history of, we didn't design the curriculum based on any political consideration. We designed the curriculum purely based on professional, historical consideration. History, when you talk about history, is the study of the past, important past events that impacted on a society, politically, socially, economically, and culturally. If that event is relevant to the society, then that event becomes history. So, when you are writing history, history deals with date, period. It is also chronological, because period and date are virtually synonymous, because when you are talking about 1900, you start from 1901, 1902, and then you'll be moving on to the end of the century or something like that. So we were looking at the history of Ghana from the beginning of the geographical space called Ghana, which the Portuguese at a point in time called Gold Coast. We were looking at all the historical figures, you get me, who emerged at the time. Some of them came before others, and some will be given prominence as we progress.
Okay.
Well, William Yita is with the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, as a trustee in Accra, West, and he joins me in the studio. Good evening to you, Mr. Yita. Now, has NAT as an association met yet on this new curriculum?
Not that I know of, but my General Secretary, the person of Mr. Champong, has addressed this issue on several fora, and not per se is not against the introduction of any new curriculum.
Okay.
Provided it will enable to the benefit of the students and the nation at large.
Now, you have been teaching for how many years? 23 years, you
23,
say?
yeah.
All right. What do you make of this new curriculum?
Well, from the surface, it doesn't seem to be a bad policy.
What excites you about it?
Yes, it is about reducing the concepts and placing the stress on knowledge and understanding. Allotting more time for the teacher to deal with the concepts. I think that is what makes me fall in love with this particular curriculum. Now, you also notice that at the lower level, like the KG, etc., the number of subjects have been reduced from 7 to 4. And the concepts there are also integrated. You and I know that when we were growing up, we used to hear about something like the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Those days, when you hear the 3 R's, it means that they are trying to stress on reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah.
But when it got to, when we grew up to a certain level, that concept disappeared. Even though we still treat maths and English on a daily basis, the stress is no longer on maths and English.
Okay.
Per se.
But this one says they're stressing on
Yes.
numeracy and literacy.
Yes, the stress is there. And the concepts have also been reduced, meaning that the teacher will now have enough time to deal with the concepts.
All right.
Such that the children will be able to understand. And
so as far as you're concerned, this is a great syllabus curriculum. We should go with it.
It looks perfect, but
okay,
this but should be underlined, because we've seen so many beautiful things that turned out to be something else in the past. Therefore, even if we fall in love with this because we think that most of the things are integrated and the concepts have been reduced and more time is going to be allotted for the teacher to be able to deal with the concepts, this will also come with resources.
All right.
So if my advice to government is that, but this is not NAS's position anyway. This is my personal advice.
As someone who's been teaching for 23 years.
As someone who has been teaching for some time now and understands the terrain, that if government is not ready to pump cash into this policy, they shouldn't even attempt to implement it.
Why would you think the government isn't ready to pump in cash?
Well, the FQ came with things like the introduction of capitation, which is supposed to provide finances for the heads to use to run the schools. This would have helped in minor repairs and then the provision of TLM, teaching learning materials, which will facilitate the teaching, such that the teacher will not be teaching abstractly. Because in Japan, China, and other areas, the children, they feel the thing, and then the concept remains.
When they talk about a computer,
yes, when
they get
computer,
to see a computer.
They'll bring it to you, you will feel it, you turn it around, you know that this is a computer. So you don't go to bed dreaming as to
or wondering,
what animal were they talking about at all. You see, this will not be an animal to you because you have seen the thing. Yeah. So I'm saying that their challenge may be financial, and that if they don't have enough resources, and if they're not ready to pump resources into this policy, it may as well become a fiasco, just as other policies have gone down the drain. But the policy is good. I also like this because of the introduction of agric in almost every aspect of this curriculum. At every level, you have some amount of agric being taught, meaning that Ghana is aiming at becoming a country that can achieve economics of scale.
Or
to the extent that we'll be self-sufficient, and then we may even export the excess that will be produced. Because they say catch them young. So if you catch them young, that concept remains, and we have the perception that farmers are dunderheads, or excuse me to say that. We take them
look down on
people who don't really have what do you call it, the intellectual ability to pursue the book-long thing, and then they resort to wearing Wellington boots and then stepping in the mud. But that isn't the case in America and other areas.
Yeah.
Yes, the richest people in the world are farmers. If you get to those places, you notice that those people who really have money,
among some of the
they
very
spend
rich
and are able to do this philanthropism kind of thing, they are the farmers. So this policy will address our challenges in food supply and also make us economically viable.
All right. Thank you very much, William Yutai. William Yutai is with the Ghana National Association of Teachers. Meanwhile, Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Education Committee, Dr. Clement Apak, is accusing President Akufo-Addo of attempting to make his family more relevant in Ghanaian history using the new education syllabus. He says the syllabus outlawed last week skews Ghana's history in favor of Dr. J.B. Dankwa when it should be prioritizing Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He has served notice a future National Democratic Congress will review the syllabus.
Several times the name Dr. J.B. Dankwa has been mentioned. People have taken the time to count, at least 9 times in the document, compared to Nkrumah, which has appeared only twice. Now, what is bothering
What's the big deal with that?
What is bothering many people is that there is a whole section in Primary 5 that focuses on the role played by J.B. Dankwa, whereas there's no section in the syllabus indicating the role played by Dr. Nkrumah. So people are really meaning into it, given that we know that J.B. Dankwa is the president's relative. So the assertion is that this is yet another example of a clear attempt by the current president to promote, eulogize, and if you like, immortalize his family and his ancestry to the detriment of the true history of Ghana. And many have pointed to other examples of previous attempts to try and name the University of Ghana after J.B. Dankwa. They've also pointed to the change of Republic Day to Constitution Day, and indeed the change of Founders Day to Founders Day. So several people are getting very worried that there's a clear agenda to, if you like, distort the history of Ghana.
2 branches of the Church of Christ have made a cash donation of 12,000 cedis to cover the cost of surgery for the infant who was diagnosed with hydrocephalus and spinal bifida at birth at the Nadoli Government Hospital. The amount raised by the Nadoli and Takwa Tanso branches has been presented to the mother of the boy. It's been a race against time for the infant after he was diagnosed, as doctors say he may not survive for long without the surgery. Nadoli Kalio Health Director Phoebe Balanguyetemi launched a campaign to appeal for funds for the infant when she realized the parents, both subsistence farmers, were in no position to fund the surgery. She says they will immediately kickstart the process to prepare the infant for the medical procedure.
This morning is very exciting. I can't really express my joy, but we are so grateful to our brother Emmanuel and then his brother Dasa, Mr. Dasa in Takwa, and also all the members of the Church of Christ for being or hearing our cry and coming to our aid. Myself, the medical director, and the entire hospital management team, the entire district health team, we want to say that we are so grateful for the support that you've given us. And we know it's going to go a long way to help this baby. So we would quickly start with the process. The baby has to, first of all, go for what we call CT scan, for them to see the extent of the problem, and then the neurosurgeon will be seen. We've always been in contact with him, and he's ready to receive the baby at any time, and we know that something positive will come out of it.
Emmanuel Kunsang of the Nadoli branch of the Church of Christ presented the amount to the mother of the infant, who was very grateful.
Motivated by love for humanity, we really want to see this baby do well. One will never know what he's going to be in the future, and I think that is the main issue. We came up to make a presentation of 12,000 to our little brother, and I'm also grateful to JoyNews for bringing it up. Had it not been JoyNews, probably would not have gotten the information. And also to the timely intervention of the hospital. If they have not detained the child and allowed the child to go home, probably the story would have been different. So we thank Almighty God, and we thank JoyNews, we thank the hospital staff for bringing this issue up.
Now, staff of the WAS Small Tax Office of the Ghana Revenue Authority last week also donated 2,280 cedis in personal contributions, and we wish the little infant all the very best in the surgery. And that'll be it for JoyNews Prime for today. Up next to bring you our Hotline documentary. I'm Israel. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.